Battle Gear, where you can pick up your very own limited edition print of our Yugi mat with Dark Magician Girl, and Dark Magician of Chaos. Artwork is exclusively designed by Nixie Arts as well, so check out her link in the Instagram below. Pick it up for shipping worldwide. What is up? Good evening, YouTube. This is, of course, Dale from Zephyr War Games, and as you can probably tell, I've been getting into streaming a little bit more, so my internet is no longer a potato. It's been slightly upgraded to kind of a carrot, so it's a good start. Anyway, on today's stream, right now it is currently UK time of 7:24 PM. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a discussion with you guys about side decks, and mainly side decks on a budget, so alternative options alongside the standard. So if you don't have $150 or £150 to $200 for Lightning Storms, well, I think Lightning Storms are more than that, but you know what I mean. So right now, the most powerful, I'll take you for an example, so the most powerful side that you can have, generic wise, triple Lightning Storm, what's that, like 200 quid? Triple Forbidden Droplets, if they're not in your main deck, by the way. So that is 350 quid already, and you've only put 6 cards in your side deck. And then you've still got 9 more to go. So the rest of that, you can imagine how that adds up. Now, 9 times out of 10, a side deck can be more costly than the main deck because you actually spend 2 or more times, 2 out of 3 games in the side deck. So what I'm going to do for you guys today on this live stream, and I'm going to record this and it will be uploaded later on because it's a new little tester that I'm trying out as well. I am going to go over all of the side deck options and a budget counterpart, or as close to a budget counterpart as you could possibly get. Just in general, what side decks need. So they need like back row removal, front row removal, you know, everything like that. So, thank you to all of you that are joining me live right now. This is basically a stream where I can talk with you guys, communicate with you guys. If you have any questions, we can go back and forth. I will do that on the recorded video that will go out tonight at 9 o'clock, hopefully. And I will be able to answer your questions through the comments. But this is just the time for you guys to, you know, bit of chit chat. I've been doing live streams for the past 2 days, and I think they've been going really well, and I've enjoyed having a conversation with you guys. It won't be a 2-hour stream like the past ones. It's probably be about a half an hour video, taking us to 8 o'clock, and then that gives me enough time to do the edit. So, with that introduction out of the way, let's get started on basically what a side deck is. So, for those of you that don't know, most of you do know, I'm not going to spend forever on this. It is a 15-card side deck that during games 2 and 3, you can put cards into the main deck in replacement of cards in your main deck that are going to help you in a specific matchup. So, for example, if you have no back row hate in your deck whatsoever in the main deck, and you're facing against a deck that is all control and all back row heavy, you need a side deck, otherwise you are not going to win that match, are you? So, let's start off with the side deck in general. I'm going to be adding images in as I go, and then trying to transfer them across. So, we'll start off with the general kind of look at everything. So, what you need to be able to have, we'll start with back row because I've already mentioned this. You need to have some form of back row hate. So let's look at the meta decks right now. So the meta decks you're looking at, Dogmatic Invoked, and their back row are going to be, or the back row you need to fear is going to be the Shaddoll Schism, because if they activate Schism and you chain like a Cosmic Cyclone, MST, Twin Twisters to it, that's going to fizzle. They lose one of their biggest lockouts. So you definitely need something like that. Adamantipated is probably one of the odd matchups where the back row, like having any back row hate in, just doesn't make any sense because they're not going to play it. Dinos, they're not going to play back row, so you don't really need it for that. So first of all, hey Ninja Boy James, Dustin, Casey Brown, and Joshua Smothers. How are you all doing? Yeah, so let's start off with back row. So I mentioned it before. So this is probably the main one, in my opinion, anyway. In my opinion, this is the main card that you're going to want for your back row hate, and that is Cosmic Cyclone. Now, why is Cosmic Cyclone better than Twin Twisters? Now, I'm not counting Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm is not budget, but Lightning Storm is... The reason Lightning Storm is so good is because you play triple Lightning Storm, which kind of covers you in place of 6 side deck cards, because technically your 6 side deck cards could be like Regekis, Dark Holes, Twin Twisters, MSTs, Cosmic Cyclone, stuff like that. Cosmic Cyclone is still a very, very good side deck card to have. It is budget. It's had like a common, an ultra, an ulti, and a secret print, so you should be able to pick these up quite easily. And the reason Cosmic Cyclone is probably the main back row hate card right now is purely because you only pay 1,000 life points and you banish the card. So in a deck matchup like Eldritch, where they actually don't mind their traps going to the graveyard, banishing them is going to cause them a lot more trouble. Now, you'll also see other kind of back row hate cards. They all share the same kind of ability. They are technically quick plays. Now, you do have the trap versions, which are kind of nice when you're locked under Imperial Order and cards like that. Cosmic Cyclone, Twin Twister, the idea is that you're going to be able to quick play chain or quick play during your opponent's turn to deal with back row. Now, as I mentioned, you've got, if we're looking at like Dragon Link, very rare that they're going to have back row, but they might have like equips or stuff like that. You look at Infernoble Knights, they're going to have equips. Now, Twin Twister might be better in that scenario, but a well-timed Cosmic Cyclone will do more damage. And what you want to kind of do when you're building your side decks is you always want to aim for something that is going to benefit you in the long run. So, for example, in Twin Twisters, if you burn through your hand and you find yourself very rarely having the hand to discard, you go with Cosmic Cyclone. Simple as that. It's quite easy swap. If you find yourself playing 1, 2, 3, 4 cards on board and actually having a very, very good hand size, then Twin Twister might be a little bit better for you if, even more so, you get bonuses from discarding. So what I mean by that is if you look at stuff like Orcust, they love discard. Orcust and Dangerous, they're like, okay, cool, I discard and I plus. So I might as well discard, deal with your back row, and then plus even further. So go with that one. This is live, God. This is Jesus talking. I don't know. Hi, Jared. Yeah, so any form of back row hate. Do not play too many. Right now, there isn't huge amounts. Like I just went through the meta decks, there isn't a huge amount of doing it. You just need to have some form of back row hate. So you either play Twin Twisters or you play Cosmic Cyclone. If you have Lightning Storm, I would still probably argue that you need a Cosmic Cyclone in there at some stage. But we are talking about budgets. Now, Cosmic Cyclone, I can check eBay right now if you really, really want me to, but commons should not be more than like £1, £2 at most. So definitely, for your back row hate, you want Cosmic Cyclone. Now, let's look at the next one. Monster removal. Now, by monster removal, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the tribute cards. Now, in my personal opinion, we've got a very, very tiny Ra sphere mode. Bear with me 2 seconds, I'll make that bigger for you. Increase Ra's balls. I mean, the sphere mode. There we go. Cool. We're the Winged Dragon of Ra sphere mode. Now, this was actually sided in the Megalith profile. So the Megalith profile, if you haven't seen it, it's on Bortle's channel. Go check it out. It got second at the LCS yesterday, which was like 100 people. And he was playing Winged Dragon Ra, which is actually really good because if you look at most matchups right now, so again, I'll go through all the meta decks. The road decks I'm not really going to count to a huge extent purely because they drop in and out of the meta. So I think the top 8 of the LCS was something like, what was it? It was 2 Dogmatica Invoke, 2 Dogmatica Eldritch, 1 Megalith, 1 Adamancipator, and 1 Infernoble Knight, and something else, I believe. So you look at Infernoble Knights. Now, Infernoble Knights are going to put out 2 on average, but they can get to 3. Sometimes they will have, they'll definitely have Charles, or they'll definitely have Savage Dragon. Sometimes on top of that, they'll end up having Herald, and they might even have a Gearfried. So, Dragon Link, thank you. So you could look at Winged Dragon Ra and go, or Sphere Mode, go, actually that's going to do a lot more damage than a single Kaiju. That's going to do a lot more damage than a Lava Golem. The one big thing you have to keep in mind is, again, you need to put it, don't just put it into your deck. If your deck is like, I need my normal summon like 100% of the time, otherwise I can't play the game, Ra Sphere Mode might not be for you. If you're like, cool, I can use a Kaiju and still play the game through 2 negates, then that's better for you. Obviously, Dragon Link are going to pump out about 2 to 3 monsters as well. Dogmaticas pump out and leave the board with 2 to 3 monsters, if not a little bit more. So, Ra Sphere Mode is always going to be live. Same with, less so with Eldritch, I suppose, but then it really depends on what variant of the Eldritch you're facing. Again, with the Synchro version, they're going to have a couple on the board. The one thing you don't want people doing is actually having a Ra in their deck, and they just go, okay, cool, tribute off your Sphere Mode, bring out Ra. What? But yes, any type of monster removal. Again, I think Ring Dragon Ra might be like £5, purely because it's only had 2 prints, I believe. Kaijus, you've got so many to choose from. Obviously, the default one is Gamma Seal, so you go to Gamma Seal. That's the one you want to use. But exactly like I said, right now, the current meta, what you've got to be careful with Ring Dragon Ra is, if your opponent stops and only puts 2 monsters on the board, you're done for. Like, this is a dead card. You're not doing anything with it. But it does eat up your normal summon. Whereas the Dragon Link can just do whatever you want. You can literally just go, okay, cool, special, done. But you're only breaking one negate. So you've really got to look at the boards they're playing. And Adamanticators and Eldritch and everything like that, like I said, the average at the moment is they're putting the 3 monsters on board. This might change in the future and people start to adapt towards like a Ra Sphere mode and stuff like that. But please keep that in mind. You do need some form of monster removal that is in the same form of not activating an effect. So a tribute ability. And that's kind of what we're going for here. Now, we'll move on to something that is in between like a Ra Sphere mode and a kaiju kind of thing. And that is this one right here. This is Rocky Boy, the Nibiru, the Primal Being. Now, my opinion is it's not as great, this format. Now, what I mean by that, and please bear with me before you go, what are you talking about, you're madman? The reason this isn't as good, this format, is because you look at Dogmatica Invoked, they will get to their monster negation early. Infernoble Knights can get to a negate. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad card. You should definitely play 3 of this, and it's an insanely good budget card. Like 10 quid, like paying 30 quid for 3 Nibirus, everyone should have them, in my opinion. Like, you have to have Nibirus. But you have to be very, very careful because a lot of people are going to play around Nibiru. They know that it is a very, very big threat. And I mean, speaking of one of our players, one of the people that turns up to our locals, his mentality when Nibiru first came out, which is very, very clever actually, was, why would I waste 3 side deck spots for Nibiru while everyone is in the phase of fearing Nibiru? So why don't I not waste 3 extra deck spots on it and just play the mind games of making them think I've got Nibiru so that they slow down? And then people started going, you know what, I don't care. If you've got Nibiru, you've got Nibiru, whatever. And people have started to learn to play through it. Like Adamant's players will play through it. Eldritch can play through it. Dogmaticas can play through it because they'll get their negate first, and then if you do try and bait out the negate, they don't mind negating it. That's fine. I think Dragon Links can play through it. I haven't played a lot of Dragon Links, but they won the LCS for a reason. So Nibiru is definitely one that I think is the first one to go into your extra deck, but I think you could also arguably take out the Nibiru because if you put in, I agree. I agree. Kaijus are better as a whole because they are easily splashable, but once you get into a particular format, you need to adapt your side deck to the place you are going to play. If you're going to your locals and your locals plays loads of rogue, then you need to adapt to that. If you're going to your locals and you're going to guarantee to see Eldritch, Dogmaticas, Adamant's pages, the whole 9 yards, maybe you take out Nibiru and you actually put in Ra Sphere mode because Ra Sphere mode might actually benefit you more because you just go, whatever, build your board, do whatever you want. I'm going to break it with a single card rather than trying to play along that thin line of will you get a monster negate, won't you get a monster negate, can you play for it, can you not? Might actually be a lot better to kind of mess around with, play around with it and work it that way. So Nibiru is definitely, one of the top budget ones. The second top budget one I'm going to go to straight away because I love this card. I think this card is the nuts. And that's Dark Ruler No More. Now, Dark Ruler No More, again, a budget card. I think it was like 5 quid and then went up to like 7, maybe pushes in the 10 mark. But droplet is 60 quid. You're saving yourself 50 quid by getting Dark Ruler No More. Now, they are similar, but they are massively different at the same time as well. So droplet can actually be used as still allows you to OTK, still gives you a plus if you like to send cards, also allows you to play it during your opponent's turn. So there's a lot more bonuses, but that is where the £50 difference comes into it. Whereas Dark Ruler No More, again, the exact same thing. I would personally think very, very carefully before I put in something like triple Ra Sphere mode, triple Nibiru, and triple Dark Ruler No More, because if you open up multiples of those cards, you've bricked. You're not going to help yourself out. But if you open up one of them, you can then break a board. So I'm going to use the example for Madolches, right? If I have Madolches, right, and I'm playing the Madolches, or the dog clearly does not like Madolches. I'm playing Madolches. I wouldn't be able to play Madolches, but I'm going to put my mind into Donald's mind. He is the Madolche player. Now, I personally, as the Madolche player... Are you finished yet? Right. I take that as a yes. They wouldn't be able to put Ra Sphere mode in because they need their normal summon. Their normal summon is actually kind of important for them. Not massively, but it does actually help them get there where they need to go. I probably wouldn't play Droplet because, okay, I only need 1 or 2 negates, but Dark Ruler No More does the exact same job and they don't need to kill everything. They can literally just go, Dark Ruler, clear your board off, and you are not coming back from that. You are going to lose so much advantage. I'm going to spin back your graveyard. I'm going to spin back your board. I will OTK you the next turn. I've got plenty of time to waste. So Dark Ruler No More is a better option to go for it. They're not going to put in Ra Sphere mode. They could put in Nibiru as well, but you've got to be very, very careful that you don't disrupt the natural flow of your deck when you're putting your side deck cards in. You need to make sure that you're not putting all 15 cards in unless they have direct synergy with your deck. And if they do have that direct synergy with your deck, they should probably be in the main deck. And someone mentioned earlier on the chat right here was literally like, Nibiru is a main deck card. Yes and no. I think more people are playing around Nibiru. It will definitely give you the advantage first turn. But I don't think right now it's safe to lose 3 main deck slots where that could be 3 main hand traps that are going to do a heck of a lot more damage to your opponent. Don't think Dark Ruler is amazing in this format only because there is an insane amount of control decks rolling around, even Dogmatica. Yes, there are an insane amount of control decks, I agree, but again, you need to look at the top decks. Dark Ruler No More is useless against Eldritch, but so is Droplet. Dark Ruler No More will kill Adamanticators. Dark Ruler No More, played at the right time, will kill Dogmatica Invoked. Because the idea with the Dark Ruler No More is you need to bait out the Macabre. So you bait out the Macabre, and then you start doing your plays. Now as a Dogmatica player, the second you attempt to make a special summon, I'm going to flip my trap to go into Winder. So then you go, okay, cool. Now I play Dark Ruler No More. The Dogmaticas have no more play. Like, if they've got Philidius in hand, fine, that's 1 more negate, but you've shut off their main lockdown. So it's still very, very good. It's not amazing. It's not like highly broken, but if you don't have droplets, this you have to play. Like, hands down. You don't have droplets, this is what you play. This is your budget alternative. You can choose whether to side deck cards against certain decks. Lost Ocean. If you don't mind me asking, what is the limit that is no longer considered budget? And are you also accounting for a play set of them? So I'm only counting the individual card. Like, when you look at cards, and I said this at the start, when you look at the top side deck, right, and the top side deck is playing 3 Lightning Storms, I'm telling you that I reckon you could build a very, very powerful side deck with the budget options for the same price as 1 Lightning Storm. I reckon you could build a side deck that is going to compete heavily for 80 quid rather than getting a Lightning Storm. Now, it's not obviously going to be... There's a reason they are the prices. They're going to be weaker than the cards that are going to cost the money, but when you're going to say like a full extra deck including 3 droplets, maybe 3 talents, 3 Nibirus, 3 Lightning Storms is going to be like 500 quid, and your deck or your extra deck is going to be like 80, there's a massive price difference, and I reckon the job will still be done just as well. And the one massive thing you've always got to keep in mind with Yu-Gi-Oh! As well is surprise factor will win you more than you know. So we saw that with the Megalith. Megalith was incredibly powerful, and even in his interview that he did, he said that he kind of went with Megalith because they had a surprise factor. No one knew what they were doing. Everyone was prepared for certain decks. So once the meta goes a particular way, everyone prepares for a certain matchup, and the matchup gets easier to deal with. So if you counter that by creating a rogue deck that no one knows what to deal with, and the cards that naturally out Eldritch, Dogmaticas, and all of that don't affect you, you're in a massive, massive advantage already. I agree, underrated side deck of Card Dragon, Iron Dragon, Titanium. I like him. I think it's really cool. Not a lot of people think about that, but it's all about destruction effects, and you've got to be very, very careful with that. Okay, now moving on. I'm going to go with one that is specifically on the back of Dogmaticas, and that is this beautiful card right now, and this is Elder Entity. So this one's going to be a quick, short, simple one. People are putting this into their extra deck because it is a 1 card they can put in that if they get hit with Maximus, they can then pop a card. Now, a lot of people were saying like, oh, you go Silver Dragon Infinity, Silver Dragon Nova into your own Macabre. Yes, but you need to have 3 extra deck spots to do so. Very few decks around right now can afford to put 3 extra decks. And again, with something like Elder Entity Ints, you're better off maining it than you are siding it. So this is a very, very quick one just to give you a bit of notification of, this is what Ints will do for you. Now let's move on to... Now, I'm going to show you evenly matched, but... No, I'm not going to show you evenly matched. I don't count it as budget. It's like 20 quid. I think that's above the budget. I agree with... God on this one, that like $15 or about £15 is kind of like the budget you should be spending on a single card to go into your extra deck. So we've already talked about back row hate. Let's talk about hand traps. We'll talk about the hand traps that I think are going to be good this format. We'll start off with this bad boy. This card, like one format is one format is in, next format is out. It's in and out more than the Hokey Cokey. I mean, beautiful card. Very, very specific right now. Patience, Law of the G. I'm getting there. Draw and Lockbird. So why is this good? Because Dogmatica search a lot. If they go field spell and you draw them, that's it. They shut down because they then have a lot to kind of struggle with. Your Servant of Nadir doesn't work. Your Titaniclad doesn't work. Your Al Capone doesn't work. Really, really shuts them down. You look at Eldritch. I don't think it's that big of an issue because they don't need to search a lot. I don't think Adamantipates need to search a lot either. They really just do a lot of excavating. I know Dragon Link do a bit of searching. So if played correctly, it can hurt them. But I think Droll is a good option to think about. Again, a deal with... what you're going to be doing in your matchups or your event you're going to. Lost Oceans. I think people underestimate archetypes like Guardians, Ancient Warriors, Evil Eyes, etc. Mostly because they've never really sure what cards to stop or negate. Yeah, I agree. Like decks like that will get more wins than you believe. And all it takes, like Dinkabui is the best example of this. That guy went to like a massive YCS event with Prank Kids and won because A, no one knew what they did, B, no one had the side deck to go against it, and C, that deck actually did insanely well against the current meta decks at the time. Moving swiftly on, so we're gonna touch on the Law of G ones. I was gonna do hand traps, but this kind of like an honourable option. So Infinite Impermanence, 20 quid card. Why is Forbidden Chalice so good? Because Forbidden Chalice is quick play. It can be used during both players' turn. It can be dropped during a standby phase to stop Zexal. That is one thing you need to keep your eyes out on, especially with Eldritch running around rampant. Forbidden Chalice can also deal with a bait out or a effect negation as well. Ghost Reaper is another good option, but again, Ghost Reaper is very, very specific in the sense that you need to go second. Your opponent needs to have more monsters than you, which is quite easy to do. But then you also need to have control over your extra deck. And unless you're playing a rogue deck that does not care about the extra deck whatsoever, you also need to be worrying out for Call by the Grave and stuff like that. Now, again, I haven't included Call by the Grave in the side deck because I think that should be in your main deck. Simple as that. So Forbidden Chalice is quick play negation, very, very good card, and it is your budget option to something like Infinite Impermanence. Now, the one thing Infinite Impermanence will have is it's a trap card that can be dropped during turn 0. This can only be dropped during your first turn or second turn onwards, and it can lock out a column, which sometimes comes in incredible handy. But Forbidden Chalice is definitely your close alternative to Infinite Impermanence. Continue on the hand traps. I'm going to try and make these a little bit quicker because I've got 2 control cards that I want to deal with at the end as well. So Artifact Lancia is just a very, very nice budget option. Right now, it's not that broken. It can hurt Adamantipates with Block Dragon. It can hurt... Again, I'm not too sure on the Dragon Link kind of side of it. It can hurt the Invoked engine of the Adamantipates, and it also stops Maximus coming out as well because Maximus can't summon if it can't banish from the graveyard. So Lancia again is a very, very nice budget option that can really, really help you, and it can also help defend you against stuff like Evenly Matched and Call by the Grave as well. So a very, very nice card to give you the best of both worlds. It's had an OP4 common, and it's also had a Secret Ultra, so should be very, very easy to pick this card up and very, very cheap as well. Let's go with the last kind of techie cards for hand traps. I've got Phantasme. Let's do Phantasme. Why Phantasme? Infernoble Knights, very, very good against Infernoble Knights. They are going to link. I 100% guarantee it. They are going to make a link monster, so you need to play. You can play Fantasma. And Fantasma is one of the best cards to get you into the Nibiru. You have no idea how many times I have gone Fantasma into Nibiru. And the one thing that makes Fantasma even better as well right now is Fantasma will also help you in the Dogmatica matchup, because in the Dogmatica matchup they do have to go into a link monster in order to make their Alistair plays. And once they do that, you drop a Fantasma. That then means that Philidius is going to be incredibly hard for them to kind of resolve. Now, it might also force them to send an Unce just to get rid of your fantastical Dragon Fantasma or bait it out as well. Which then means they are exerting more resource because you've dropped a Fantasma on them. And then on top of that, if you've got the Fantasma that you've just dropped on them, it's also going to try and fix your hand as well. It can be dropped against Adamantipator's, but they are going to be able to continue going as well, so I wouldn't really consider it as a massive one. Dragon Link, of course, drop this one. This is one you're going to get the most draws out of. And again, both pluses and minuses to what you're going to do on dropping that as well. Yeah, I mean, I think Fantasma is a very good card. It's personally in my side deck right now, and I thought when it was 10 quid ultra, like, they're worth picking up. Like, such a good card to pick up for that price. Let's carry on with the last of the hand traps. I've got 2 more to show you. So, Dimension Shifter, very, very specific, but this is more for your rogue matchup. If you can play without your graveyard more than your opponent can, this will win you so many games. So, drop this against Dogmatica Eldritch. They will not be able to get into Maximus at all. By doing that, they will also lose. Heavy Storm Duster comes over the under the back row kind of hate thing. So I think Cosmic Cyclone is better than Heavy Storm Duster, but of course Heavy Storm Duster can be put in if you're particular type of deck. So that's what I mean. Like, all of these cards I'm showing you are A, they're budget options for the very, very expensive ones, and B, when they are board clearing, hand traps, they're kind of like within those categories, or the control or whatever, you need to adapt them to your own deck. There are many cards that are like that and produce the same kind of effect. You just need to adapt it to affect your deck the most. Now, D-Shifter, drop it against Eldritch. All their traps, all their monsters will get banished. They are not going to be able to recur their resources. They are not going to be able to get their searches in the end phase. This is very, very damaging for them. The biggest issue with D-Shifter is you have to have no cards in your graveyard, so it needs to be a turn 0 draw. And it also needs, you need to be able to either OTK your opponent without using your graveyard, or you need to be able to get advantage off of banishing from your graveyard, something like that, or control your opponent just a heck of a lot more. So there's very few decks that can do that, but a very, very good rogue deck that can utilize this will get the most out of it and will actually cause your opponent a heck of a lot of issues. I mean, there are reasons that stuff like Macro Cosmo and D-Fissure are at 1. Banishing from the game can be detrimental to any of the main meta decks right now. Dinos, done, in trouble. Dogmaticas, I've already told you, they're in trouble. You look at Eldritch, you look at Adamantipator's, they are in so much trouble if you banish all of their stuff, and they lose so many resources as they burn through it, and even more so with Infernoble Knights as well. They're just going to lose so many resources that all it takes is one very, very relevant, meta-relevant deck that can use and abuse this, and the most powerful one I can think of right now is Thunder Dragons, but Thunder Dragons actually want their stuff in the graveyard now because they want to play the Chaos Engine, which I think is the better way of doing it. So keep this in mind, though, that if Lightsworn's getting an insane good card from the votes, this could be the next damaging card that will be really, really helpful for them. But yeah, D-Shifter is something to keep your eyes on. Now, the last one I'm going to do is a triplet. I say triplet, you can only see 2 of them right now, and this is going to cover up most of my face, but I'm not really too fussed. I'm going to like put my head next to it so that I'm like the new hand trap. So Effect Veiler is your closest to an Imperm, I'm afraid. DD Crow. Now, someone actually said this to me earlier. He was like, I don't know what's better. Is DD Crow or Nibiru better? My issue with DD Crow right now is there's very few one card that you can hit in the graveyard that will shut your opponent's turn down completely. So, I mean, you look at the Infernoble Knights. You will hurt them and slow them down, but it won't shut their turn down. You could hit something in Adamantipator's, you will slow them down, you won't end their turn. You will hit something in Eldritch, you can hit something in Dogmaticas. You will hurt them, you will not slow them down. One of the biggest things you could hit is this Almirage in the graveyard, the Alistair in the graveyard when they link it off as well. That will hurt Dogmaticas, but it then means that the rest of their engine can just go off and still do what it needs to do. Dragonlink can be hurt as well because you can banish the target that they are trying to revive, and that will cause them issues, but it will not end their turn. In my opinion, right now, Ghost Ogre is probably one of the best hand traps around. Cosmic Cyclone was right at the start. Definitely agree with it. Probably one of the better back row hates right now. So Ghost Ogre, I think, is one of the best right now because it hurts so many cards. So many people have become accustomed to getting ashed that they know what their next player is going to be, but very few have become accustomed to getting Ghost Ogred and then know what to do. So, Ghost Ogre, Numeron, Network, turn falls apart. They lose that entire thing. Ghost Ogre at the correct time on a Dogmatica can seriously hurt their turn. If it's not done at the right time, they will still be able to play through it, but it can really, really hurt them. Ghost Ogre can actually hurt Adamantipator's Dragonlink as well, in that kind of senses, and it's really, really hurtful against Infernoble Knights, because if you look at stuff like Imperms and Veilers against like the Knight, the Knight they can still extend if they have something in their hand, but if you Ghost Ogre it, their turn ends. They can't extend past that point. So Ghost Ogre, there's a lot of profiles floating around right now where Ghost Ogre is actually at 3 and Ash is at 2, and I think that's a very, very fair reflection on the current kind of standing that Ghost Ogre has in the format, and I think Ghost Ogre is one of the best hand traps right now for this format. And one thing you've also got to remember is triple tactical talents is floating around. So at the start, people will be fearful of triple tactical talents, so they'll start taking out the hand traps. They'll minimize that down. They'll be going for infinite impermanence and stuff like that, and tactical talents will become more of a brick. A lot of people that I faced at the weekend were taking their hand traps out because they knew I had tactical talents. So they were like, okay, cool, this is how I'm going to kind of combat that. Which is not the best of ideas, because you're actually losing your advantage onto your opponent. But if you've got the imperms and stuff like that, and you don't really need to rely on playing monster effects, then that is another option as well. Okay, looking to wrap up now on the last 2 cards that I'm going to show you for your budget options. Also keep in mind that Ghost Ogre is like £2 to £3. I think it was like 5 as max. Veilers you can probably pick up quite cheap. They've had every print under the sun, and so has DD Crow. Now the last 2 side decks are more for go second decks. These are more for decks that go second, OTK, catch your opponent off guard, break the boards, and then when they are forced to go first, what do? So starting off, we're going with Artifact Sanctum. This is pretty much a default side deck card in any of my decks that I go second with. So you're looking at the Mathmex, we're looking at Crusaders. This is just a generically good card that you go first, you shut your opponent out of the extra deck. And unless you're playing against pure Dogmaticas, and even with the pure Dogmaticas, they still need to get something to the graveyard from the extra deck in order to start to special summon out their monsters or to get to Maximus. And unless you're playing against like pure Eldritch that just really don't care about their extra deck, this will shut down most decks. So you can't get Numeron OTK'd, you can't get Adamantipator stomped, and the chances are, if you've controlled the board enough and you've put your OTK on board, unless your opponent has started to side in loads of back row hate, you're going to be able to pretty much shut them out of the extra deck, build further forward, and off you go. And the one thing you could tech in is a Artifact Moral Attack, just as an alternative option to, okay, my opponent's not going in the extra deck, but a non-target pop from Moral Attack will actually do more damage. And I love it when they target to destroy the Sanctum, because it's just like, yeah, pop and lockout, or pop and pop. And then the last one. Now, the last one is a dirty card, I'm not going to lie. This card is only, and in my opinion, only used to maintain advantage, not to burn your opponent out, because that's just not the way. Like, no one playing Yu-Gi-Oh is boring, and it's not to slow your opponent down. This is literally just to say, right, okay, my opponent's put 7 negates on board, or like an Appaloosa with 4 monster negates. I need to stop it somehow. Missed in mine. Now, I do not condone this card. I do not think this card is a fair card, but if you are a go second deck and your opponent sets up negates and you are able to bait out all of those negates and lock them under a Mystic Mine, that is kind of required. It's a necessary evil in today's game. If your opponent is going to be able to go, okay, cool, I'm going to put a Savage out on board, I'm going to put a Herald out on board, I'm going to put an Appaloosa with 4 negates, and I'm going to have, let's say, 1 more negate, right? Okay, so you've got to play through 4 monster negates, double Omni negate, and a possible 3rd Omni negate, right? So you've got 6 cards in your hand. If 3 of those cards bait out Savage, Herald, and the last one, let's say it's an Invoke Macabre, right? I think it's only fair that you should then be able to go Mystic Mine. Because you've had to burn through 4 cards in your opening hand, right? And eventually, if you're not playing the burn version, which is why I say this is only used to build up a bit of time to allow you to regain advantage or balance the board state back out. If you're not playing burn, you are eventually going to have to get rid of this. Now, your opponent, yes, can link off into one monster. But you need to then put a monster on the board for it to get rid of it. And by the time you put a monster on the board, you need to be able to get rid of this to OTK or get rid of this to clear the board off and do your own shenanigans, which is why I say this is only for a go second deck, purely because the idea is that you go second, you build up the board, you let your opponent build up the board, you try to Nibiru them, try to Ash them, try to do whatever you want to them, and you just go Mystic Mine. That then allows you, so for example in Dinos, that then allows you to go and get your UCT, that then allows you to fill up your graveyard, that then allows you to go UCT, clear board, get rid of Mystic Mine, swap it over with a Lost World. And I think it, as a one-of, is a very, very good little tech card that just gives you a fighting chance against the other meta decks. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for this live stream side decks on a budget. I think Mystic Mine's like a £5 card. Now, I'm just going to have a look at see if there's anything else I've left off. I think everything else is quite expense-driven. So, like, Droplet, Lightning Storm, Evenly Match, stuff like that. So, yeah, I hope this helped. I hope this gave you a couple of answers, answers, and it gave you a couple of understandings of the particular side deck. If you have any questions, I've got about 3 minutes. So if you have any questions you want to ask me right now while I'm live, then let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Otherwise, I will be putting this video out later on tonight as a single video so that you guys could all go back around. Yeah, exactly. Exactly like Donald says, you could just play mine to just bait out a card. So, as long, I do not condone it being used to sit and burn. That is boring. That is not Yu-Gi-Oh! But I do condone it to balance the field out, because also being able to go, here's 7 negates, break my board or lose. You know, I want to actually see games of Yu-Gi-Oh! So, yes, that is my opinion on stuff like that. Just going to quickly check my phone. But yeah, I will be putting this video out later on tonight. Oh, there we go. So here's a quick little update. Joe has recorded a DDD deck profile. Woo! A rocket profile post OTD with budget options. There you go. So he is going to cover all of your necessary needs. Yeah, this video will be out later on. How's my day going? It was work. It was boring. I couldn't wait to get on the stream. I was like, I have to finish work, because if the work sees me streaming while I'm supposed to be working, I'll be in trouble. How was your day, Casey? Thoughts on Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries to be decided to slice out extra deck monsters before they get them on the board. Again, I mentioned that earlier. I think it's very specific, but what you've got to keep in mind is your extra deck needs to be able to play the cards that your opponent is going to play. So you need to be playing a rogue deck from the start. You need to be fearful of Dark Rule, not Dark Rule anymore, Called by the Grave, because if you get Called by the Grave on the Winter Cherries, that entire strategy goes to the bin. Yes, a DDD update, and a very special notice on this DDD update. The DDD update will actually be American based. So we are in the UK, we are European, we are not allowed to use official tournament plays, the 2 DDD promo cards that you guys luckily have. However, because Joe is a DDD nut, he went and purchased these cards, and he will be doing a profile that is fully legal for stateside as well, and kind of go from there. You had a cross-country practice. I'm not surprised you came home and slept. Like, I tried to go out today to do a bit of football, and I was like, to be fair, I got over the park and everyone was playing football. I was like, what are you, like, why are you over here? Like, this is my time. Like, I should be able to do this. So yeah, always good doing cross country, keep you fit. Right, okay, last 40 seconds. I can do quick fire questions. Otherwise, post them in the comments of the video on later on tonight, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. If this video, I've had an issue with kind of like the sync of the audio coming across, so I'm hoping the recording is going to do the same. If not, I might release Joe's DDD profile a little bit early. Yeah, like, I don't get it right. I wish end all be all, I wish we were OCG. Like, they just get so many more reprints, they get so many more cool cards, they get to play it from the very beginning. And then like America get to play their promos early, and it's like, damn, why can't we play the promos? I know why. Because the promos are technically not considered to be worldwide or worldwide accessible, so we kind of have to sit there going, I guess we can't play that then. Anyway, okay, thank you so much for joining me today. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm gonna have to look at this. I'm gonna have to look at the stream going out. Obviously, I can hear myself clearly. I can see it clearly. But obviously, I can't watch the live stream at the same time and listen because I'll confuse myself. I'll be like just an echo going on. But I'll see what I can do and see if it changes when I do the live recording. Not like the re-record of the video out later on tonight. Anyway, thank you so much to everyone that joined me today on this stream. What's one card you want off the ban list and one you want on the ban list? Patelamice with an errata so that I can play it in pure Tellarknights. And hey, I just got good Wi-Fi. Like, that's a good step up already. And one I want on the ban list. What annoys me the most? That's a good question. I'm not too sure because I'm kind of like clash between what is logical that needs to go on the ban list and what I actually want on the ban list. So yeah, I'll have to answer that one at a later date. Anyway, thank you so much for everyone that joined me. I will try and do another live stream tomorrow because I like talking to you guys and keeping you guys up to date with everything that's going on. But stay tuned because in about 55 minutes time, a new video will be up. So we can go from there. Cheers, guys, and this is me, Dale, from Zephyr War Games, signing out. So as always, like, comment, subscribe, share, and happy dueling. Visit Venom Battle Gear, where you can pick up your very own limited edition print of our Yugi mat with Dark Magician Girl, and Dark Magician of Chaos. Artwork is exclusively designed by Nixie Arts as well, so check out her link in the Instagram below. Pick it up for shipping worldwide.